Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for stopping in and checking out the channel. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. If you got any comments or questions, please throw it down in the comment section below. Tell you what, when it rains it pours. I didn't even have the Bronco out of here yet, doing probably the most horrific body work I've ever done. At this point, I don't care. I look at it kind of like hospice care. The roof was just rotting out. Both layers of sheet metal. I could, from the top, I could see right down to the headliner of it. So I just goobered it all up with a ton of fiberglass and some Bondo, and then some primer and spray paint just to get it through this winter. And before that was even out of here, the Jeep started having problems, which I just finished up a video on that for the alternator, is what it turned out to be. Now this guy's been clicking. This is a 1995 Honda Accord, and it's been getting clicking from the right corner. I'm almost certain it's a CV. We'll find out here in a few minutes though. It's looking pretty rough. Alright, so here's our first sign. Got a bunch of grease coming out through that boot. There's a little bit more play in the whole shaft than I like. So I get the fun job now of pulling this damn hub off again. What really sucks is I just had this whole thing apart to replace this tie rod end, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago. And while I was at it, I redid the brakes. So frustrating. Yep, brake pads still look dang near brand new. This thing is such a pain in the ass because you gotta break the bottom ball joint loose, separate it so that you can swing this out, and even to get the rotor off, which this is for my good buddy, said he'd never seen one where you had to actually pull a ball joint in order to get a rotor off. But I'm gonna show you, this is it. But I need to get the other side off the ground so I can turn it. There she goes. Alright. Getting that bottom ball joint just to pop so it's loose. Like that. Okay, that guy's loose. See, and the only way to get this off of here, get the rotor off, is the 4 bolts holding the wheel bearing and rotor assembly together. You can see the rotor is behind the wheel bearing flange. The rotor's mounted behind that. So taking these bolts off up front will allow you to break that loose, but it only goes backwards. So you actually have to disconnect all this to get these 4 bolts out to pop the whole wheel bearing off. Then you can separate the rotor from the wheel bearing. Ingenious, right? Thanks a lot, Honda. Pop this dude out of the tranny, or transaxle, I believe they call it. There she is. Yeah. It's definitely safe to say this guy is toast. Yeah, so that's what I thought it was. When that boot's shot like that, you can almost always assume that your CV is shot. So now let's see if I actually have the spare. Alright, most people that know me would probably call me a hoarder to at least some extent. However, in cases like this, I always kind of chuckle a little bit because
way back in the day, right after I first got this car, 2013, 2014 timeline, I was chasing a rattle in the front end, and I literally swapped out everything. It took me 3 years, and I finally ended up finding radius arm bushings that were tucked up under the front grille. That's what was wrong with it. But meanwhile, I swapped out a ton of other stuff. So I've got my old CV axle shafts. And you can see I took this one apart to see if it was the problem. And it wasn't. It was fine. So I saved it. And lucky I did. I live on a dirt road that just gobbles up suspension and chassis parts. And clear as day, you can see this, how bad it is. It is terrible. So I'm going to see if I can't get this boot clamp off of this side. I don't know what I did with the one that used to be on here. And it also looks like I need to scavenge the seal off of here. If I can get this seal off and put it on that one, I think, well, let's flip it around. Yeah, this seal right here is missing, so it's probably just a dust seal, but I'm going to get the newer one, or the old one, cleaned back up. Get all this dirt off here. It's been laying out under my lean-to for the last couple of years. And she should be ready to go. Alright, so I was able to get this dust slinger off here, or oil slinger, or whatever you want to call it, this little cover, or rubber seal. Just by tapping and then tapping. So that guy's good. Now let's get this band off of here. Looks like it's just got 2 bent over pieces. Thinking if we can just bend these tabs up. Yeah, just like that. Just like that. Then the center tab will come up. And then it should come loose. Yep, there it goes. Being extra gentle with this because I need it. It's actually, looks like it's wrapped around here twice. It is. So I'm going to pull that out. Yep, it's wrapped around twice. So that'll give us plenty of space. Okay. Cool. So we were able to save both the ring, the seal, and the band. The amount of dirt and grease, or the dirt that's in here, you can see how chunky that is. That is rough. You can hear that grinding. Yeah, that's supposed to sound like that. That side, no sound. But this side is a different type too. This has these 3 roller bearing cups that sit in their own slot each. The other side has a bunch of little ball bearings in a race, or a cage rather, that go in between. And oh geez, it's so gummed up in there. That is crazy. Anyway, I think it's safe to say that was the problem. So now that I got my bands and my seal, I'm going to go finish cleaning up that other one, put it back together, and hopefully here we can get the car back on its feet. Alright, so thoroughly cleaned up the old, but I'm assuming OEM. It's in really good shape. The boots are all in good shape. All cleaned up now. And the inside, since this side's already open, I'm going to go ahead and just throw an extra little bit of moly in there. You can basically never go wrong with a little extra grease. So I'll throw some in the cup here. Get these I don't know what the technical definition of these guys. If anybody does, please let us know. I'm sure I could look it up. Give these a little coating right before we stuff them on here. I don't like this. Let's prop this up. There. Okay. All that grease even still looks good, man. It's been sitting for a long time. All right. So the flare side goes out. Okay. Let's try that again. There's a good recess in this cup here, and that's where the band goes. And I'm going to align it so that in the recess here, this divot, that's where I'm going to put the clip. I'm not doing anything crazy here as far as how tight I make this. I'm just going to pull it snug, kind of hold back on that center area there. So I'll grab a screwdriver here. Hold back on the folding point. Just so I don't have to focus so much on holding on to the band. Okay, now alright, let's grab our seal, which I believe goes on the other side. Light coat of this grease on here. Bingo. Alrighty, let's get her back in the car. Alright, here we go on the install. And just gotta wiggle that guy in there. And get her up to the transaxle. Right there. Okay. Anybody know why jam is better than jelly? Because you can't jelly that in there. There, she's set. Okay. I feel kind of cheap right now. That wasn't my joke. Hopefully that guy watches it though, because I like it. It's funny. Okay, we'll get this axle nut on here just to keep it from slipping out. Now to get this lower ball joint back in its home. It's only a 4-hand process. Just figure it out. There we go. Okay. Get that castle nut ball joint on there. Okay, now I'm gonna get the screw it. Make a position. Which one's this one? That bolt. There it is. Okay, alright. Now, that ball joint castle nut, I really hate doing that slow, so I use an impact. I have found if you start it slow, sometimes the ball joint can start twisting inside its seat before it actually catches. So this is the DeWalt DCF 850. It's super subcompact, and I don't have a whole lot of room to work with down here. And it did the trick. Now we'll hand torque it to where it looks like we can get that cotter pin back in there. All right, that's axle nut. Back on. There we go. All right, I think that's it. Just tear her back on, get her down on the ground.
Well, again, thanks for watching, everybody. Any comments, please throw it in the section below. Anything you want to see, anything homestead related, fixing stuff related, fabrication related. Please don't forget that like and subscribe button. And until next time, see you then.